What if I told you that there's a secret society with access to knowledge that allows them to control reality? And those who are a part of this society actually became some of the most powerful and influential humans in history, whose achievements consisted of winning wars, creating art that's still popular hundreds of years later, and changing the course of mankind with their inventions. Would you believe me? Well, the society that I'm talking about are the Freemasons. Within this society, though, there are different ranks, the most elite of which being the Freemasons of the highest rank, the 33rd degree Freemason, of which there are only a very few. You see, some of these individuals included the likes of Henry Ford, Benjamin Franklin, Mozart, Winston Churchill. Now, these men were the forefront of some of the most significant events in history. So the question to ask now is this: how were some of the most powerful individuals in history all part of the same organization, the same group? Did they have access to some knowledge that nobody else knew about? Here's the thing. The secrets of the Freemasons run much deeper than just its famous members. In fact, they've been rumored to be behind some of the biggest events in history, from the American Revolution to the French Revolution, and even the founding of the United States itself. Can you imagine how crazy that is? And for generations, the Freemasons have kept their secrets very, very closely guarded. But today, these secrets are now hidden in plain sight and woven into the very fabric of our modern-day society. And it's available to those who choose to open their eyes and see. Now, there was one man in particular who dared to shed light into the 33rd degree Masonic teachings, and his name was Manly Palmer Hall, who was initiated as a Freemason in 1954, and it took him 19 years to attain the status of a 33rd degree Freemason. Manly Hall's most influential piece of work was his book titled The Secret Teachings of All Ages, and in it he clearly and cleverly hides the Masonic teachings to control reality with the power of your mind. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the three main components of this Masonic teaching that will allow you to harness the power of your mind without the need to sell yourself. But they need to be paid close attention to and handled with care. Otherwise, they may become dangerous. So with that, let's get started. The book Manly Hall wrote, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, is highly sought after for a reason. The teachings within it are incredibly profound. It's easy to understand why it has garnered such attention. What's important to note is that the book outlines three main principles that I've observed in every successful person I've studied. These individuals, who were masters at shaping their reality and aligning it with their intentions, consistently followed these three principles. The first of these is the law of cause and effect. In Chapter 3 of The Secret Teachings of All Ages, titled The Human Body and Symbolism, Manly Hall emphasizes the unchanging nature of this law with the quote, "The immutability of the law was stressed, that every thought and act must react according to the nature of the energy liberated thereby. This reaction was symbolized by the circle, the symbol of infinite action." So I want you to take a moment to reflect on some key parts here. He talks about the immutability of the law, but then he also mentions the concept of infinite action and the circle. And this goes to suggest that everything that we're seeing in life is cyclical. It follows a cycle with respect to time. So society follows a cyclical fashion. Civilizations and empires rise, and then they fall, just like currencies. And this happened in the past with the German mark during the World War, with every single ancient civilization. Now they're thinking that, civilization wasn't linear, but advanced civilizations existed 12,000 years ago. They're starting to find out that the pyramids were actually built 14,000 to 15,000 years ago because of the erosion marks that they're seeing. And the erosion marks they're seeing in the pyramids actually arose from water. And that kind of water could have only been produced by a great flood, which is now known as the Younger Dryas. So all of these things, the idea that civilization is cyclical, life is cyclical, we're born, then we die. We follow a cycle of life, so it's not linear, everything is cyclical. And the other concept is that of infinite action. We're always in a process of acting. So, what I believe he means by this is energy is transferred from one form to the other. There is infinite action. One of the biggest misconceptions people have is they think physical action is different from mental action. They think mindset and action are different. You're either taking massive action or you're sitting at home and meditating in order to get a particular result and manifest a lottery win. That's completely false. If you really want to create an outcome in your life, there needs to be action, mental, spiritual, and physical. This is all action. Action is just movement. So this infinite action is infinite because it's moving cyclically. It never stops. There is a continual momentum, a vibration of particles and energy. Now, how this relates to cause and effect is an understanding that none of this really is luck. Everything that's happening in our lives, there is a clear law of cause and effect that's going on. Something is causing something else. We only call it luck because we're not able to explain the hidden sources from which they arise. This is the immutability of the law. Another interesting thing that I've noticed about all of these successful people that you look at through history is they really understand the law of cause and effect. What do I mean by that? Their reasoning process is not by analogy. How most people reason, how most people compare things, how most people come to their conclusions is they look at someone else, they look at what's happening right now, and they compare. They say, oh, this is happening like this, that person said this, therefore this must be true. I'm reading this in the news, therefore this must be true. This leads to fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And so people reason and hypothesize via analogy. They compare and contrast. That's what sheep do. They look at something else. They look at when to panic, and they look at when to ask for permission to do something. They don't think for themselves. The real way to use this law of cause and effect is what I've seen every single wealthy person do, every single successful person do. They reason via first principles. What does that mean? They break every single argument down to its fundamental truth. They break down every single argument to what is the fundamental accepted truth at the moment. So if you hear something, it's not necessarily true. Why would someone say that? You're basically asking why until you get to the root source of why this is happening. When you learn to reason via first principles, you immediately become a creator of your reality. Becoming a creator of your reality and learning to create reality. The most fundamental quality that's required is you being authentic. You being unique. You're not following someone else's path. The moment you start to compare with someone and contrast with someone, you say, oh, this person's running ads and this person's doing YouTube, therefore I should do it, therefore I should do that. No. What's your own unique path? Can you reason via first principles why one method would work and why one wouldn't? When was the last time you just took some time to sit down and think about why things are the way they are? You haven't, right? So a lot of people don't do that. They don't sit down and really think about why things are the way they are. The key thing is, you have to understand this first law. You have to understand what the real causes are. What are the hidden causes that are causing all the effects that we're seeing? Everything that you see manifested in physical reality is but an effect. This leads very, very well into the second law, the law of spirit. And I'm going to explain to you exactly what that means. The second law that is absolutely crucial to understand if you want to be a creator of your reality is the law of spirit that he talks about in the book. And the quote goes like this. This is in chapter 12, Pythagorean Mathematics. And this is what he says. The universe is made up of successive gradations of good. These gradations ascend from matter, which is the least degree of good, to spirit, which is the greatest degree of good. In man, the three spheres of his threefold nature merge into a single unit, making him a single living soul. The importance of this quote is as follows. I believe this comes from Hermetic teachings, where Hermes Trismegistus, known as the greatest god of all time, who existed 5,000 years before the Common Era, I believe, in the Emerald Tablet talks about the three different planes of existence. He talks about how the least and most gross form of existence is the physical dimension. A level above that is the mental dimension. And the third level above that is the spiritual dimension. Hermes was known as Hermes Trismegistus, and Trismegistus translates to thrice greatest, meaning he's mastered all these three planes of existence. Manly Hall says how the least degree of good is matter, and the greatest degree of good is spirit. So I want you to take a moment to think about why he would say something like that. This is why the ancient yogis believe something like this too. They believe that the most gross form, which is matter, is influenced by the most subtle form, which is nothingness, and everything evolved out of nothingness. They believed that the universe, this world as we perceive it right now, evolved from nothingness. This nothingness became energy. This energy evolved into awareness. Awareness then evolved into consciousness. It started to become aware of itself. Consciousness. It became conscious of itself. This consciousness, there started to be movements within consciousness. And this movement within consciousness is called the mind. It's called thought. And this mind then created the body. If you look at placebo effects right now, your body literally has the ability to cure cancer, right? It has the ability to cure all sorts of ailments that you would have never imagined without any outside intervention. This is the technology. There are quantum computers that can't replicate the functions of human bodies yet. That's how sophisticated this system is. The mind is the doing of all of this. So in order to influence the body, we have to tap into the subtler dimensions of life. And this is exactly what he means by this quote. And this, again, interestingly goes back to this law of cause and effect, right? There is a subtle cause that is leading to all of these gross effects. If you want to create anything in your life, stop focusing on the gross matter, on the thing, on trying to manipulate and change something. Focus on the subtle source that's actually causing this effect that you're seeing. What is causing the effect that you're seeing right now? The subtle inevitably leads to the gross. So in order to make any physical change happen in your life, you have to look at the subtle source from which it originates. And this is where it all originates, in the mind. This actually leads very interestingly to the third law, the law of imagination. It's very interesting to see that Manly Hall goes really deep into it and describes it beautifully. He says, imagination is the star in man, the celestial or supercelestial body. This is the great secret of the mysteries. Imagination is the divine body in every man, the divine principle or idea by which each creature is begotten. And this is in chapter 25, the Pythagorean theory of music and color. Now, I want you to take a moment to reflect on this. Why does he call this the star in man? Why does he call this the celestial or super-celestial body? I believe this is the subtlest as the most subtle will get. And imagination is the power that runs everything. Einstein prized imagination. He said, "Imagination is the only thing that truly governs this world." And I believe that's why Hall describes this as the celestial or super-celestial body. The highest of them all, the greatest star that could ever exist. Another man who always talks about imagination is a person by the name of Neville Goddard. He was a 19th century philosopher, and Neville Goddard mentions imagination and awareness to be the most powerful of them all. And remember, in principle number 2, I talked about the concept of awareness and how the yogis believed that that's how it evolved. From nothingness to energy, to awareness, to consciousness, mind, and body. Awareness in conjunction with imagination has the power to completely rule your life. The only form of visualization, though, that becomes very, very powerful is creative visualization. Now, there's a reason why they talk about imagination, because imagination has connotations of creativity. Creativity connotes the heart. If you simply picture something in your mind's eye, it has no effect. You're simply picturing. There's a difference between imagining and picturing. Neville Goddard always talks about visualizing, thinking feelingly. So when you visualize creatively anything that you want in your life, and you project it in your mind's eye, then you're automatically invoking two of the most necessary components of manifestation and reality creation. This involves the heart and the mind. In everything that you do, both your heart and mind, if they're in a single congruent line. For example, let's say you want a job, and you really feel good about getting that job, and it makes you feel great, then the probability that you will get that job is a lot higher. If you want to grow your business revenue, if you think about it and you feel the associated feelings of what it would be like to get that job, and you live from the end, the probability that you will get it is a lot higher. Because now you're manipulating the subtler dimensions of energy, which is what I believe every single successful person, every single one of these Freemasons that you've seen, that's what they do so effectively. So if you practice creative visualization for the next 30 days, you will begin to see changes happen in your reality like never before. What Neville Goddard talks about is practicing creative visualization as you fall asleep before bed every single night. This also invokes your subconscious mind to completely absorb it. So your conscious and the subconscious mind, again, the mind and the heart, when they work in conjunction with each other, only then do you unlock the power of reality creation. So, this is what I want you to do for the next 30 days. Pick one goal that you want to create in your life, that you want to accomplish. It could be something really big, or it could be something really small. Don't judge it. Don't make it too unrealistic, obviously, but lean over the edge without falling off. What does that mean? Make it large and somewhat believable, but also somewhat uncomfortable outside of your comfort zone. The thing that you want that will set your heart free, so that you feel completely resonant with it. Pick that goal and visualize different instances of that goal being achieved. What does your life look like after that goal has been achieved? And do that as you fall asleep every single night. I want you to commit to that and do that. And once you do, I hope you'll begin to see changes. But really, the principle I want you to take away from this is creative visualization involving both your heart and your mind, thinking feelingly. Now, I believe one of the most powerful ways in which you can make a permanent shift in your life is by influencing the subtle. What's the most subtle cause that you can tap into right now? What's the most subtle thing that we're not even aware of? They say, in life we question all the beliefs, except the beliefs we're deeply identified with. And those are the beliefs that run our lives. The thing that we will never question is our identity. Once you learn how to shift your identity from the very, very core, and you become a completely different person, a completely new person, you experience a completely new reality. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this.